Well, correct us if I'm wrong, but you were one of the first people to sort of point the finger about the pedo, Jimmy Savile, and how he would get kids, and he was hooked up with the royal family, and part of the reason would be he was a supplier of children from all those hospitals he had to the elite.
The thing about Jimmy Savile, and I started writing in the books like The Biggest Secret, which came out in 1998. I wrote about all of this stuff. It was very clear from what's come out is the police knew about him. Special branch that's supposed to protect the royal family absolutely would have known about him. British intelligence knew about him.
Even the locals in the area, the rumours were rife.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even like just regular folk on the street knew.
But he was never collared for it. And then you start to look in the background. First of all, in his own words, he was invited into the inner core of the British royal family in the 1960s by a man called Lord Mountbatten. Lord Mountbatten was a known paedophile. He was infamous for it.
Has that been proven officially?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. I mean, people have come out and they've talked about being abused by him. But you know,
I've seen loads about this.
I don't cross the line and say this is how it is unless I've reached a point where I've got so much information from no different people. And so, a known paedophile brings Savile into the inner core of the British royal family, where he becomes a close friend of Prince Philip, till they had a big falling out, apparently, and a close friend to his death of Prince Charles, now King Charles.
And he was in with the politicians such as Thatcher.
Well, yeah, again, he was a friend of Margaret Thatcher, and it was Margaret Thatcher's cabinet that all the stories came out about how many paedophiles there were in Thatcher's cabinet. Her father, who ran a grocery store in Grantham, was a known bloody paedophile. I mean, the girls were warned not to take a job at his shop, you know, like bloody everywhere. And so anyway, what Savile was doing was like, people knew, but he was never collared. Because what he was doing, and this has not come out, he was a procurer of children for the rich and famous. He was supplying children. This has come out through at least one member of his family, and it has come out through other sources, through the...
It's not been broadcast in the way everything else was.
It's not coming out through the mainstream.
Yeah.
So Ted Heath, right? Ted Heath, the Prime Minister of Britain, who took us into the European, what became the European Union, the EEC, he was a paedophile and a Satanist. And I said so in The Biggest Secret. And that book was read to him in the week of publication, when he was still a member of Parliament.
How long ago was this?
This was 1998. And it was 17 years before the Wiltshire police did an investigation into Heath, paedophilia, and said if he was alive today, we would open an investigation. We would be questioning him on this. Cause
what was his response when they read it to him?
He said, well, an excuse for a journalist read it to him and then wrote an article about the fact that she read it to him, kind of, you know,
she wanted the credit,
ridiculing me, like, but who knew nothing about anything. But when she read the passage to him, he just said, David Icke must be mad. And that was it. There was no other response. And I wasn't. That's what he did. And Savile was supplying children for him. This has come out through various different sources, not least in the so-called care home in Jersey, which came to prominence at one point, involving Ted Heath. And I'll tell you a quick
Was that
story.
the one that Savile was the...
Yeah, that he used to visit.
Because I've seen a clip of him, just for reference, just so people know that there's, you know, from what I've seen even, there was a clip of him talking to a little girl, I think, in the bed, and she was really scared of him, and he said, "What have I done to make you so scared of me?" And she said, "Everything." And it was chilling. It was horrific.
People were scared of him.
Yeah.
Not least media people were scared of him because of his connections. When you're supplying children for paedophilia and sacrifice, by the way, to the rich and famous networks of the cult.
Because there were lots that went missing, right?
Yeah, exactly. On the number of kids go missing. I mean, people relate the number of kids go missing to the number of missing children's stories on the news. Forget that. Vastly greater than that. You never hear most of them. So they were, when you're supplying them with children, you don't get collared, first of all, for what you're doing. Anyone that threatens to exposure, well, they better watch their back as well, because the same people are watching his back. And I tell you,
a bit like what happened in America to Epstein. You know, he was in jail, he was ready to testify. Boom.
Yeah.
Gone.
Well, you know, they tried to protect him. They protected him once, first round, and then when the women wouldn't give up, they had to stop him coming into court and it all coming out. Whether they killed him or whether they didn't, that's an open question that people have. But certainly he was disappeared. And by the way, on our media platform, Iconic, we have a program called Classified, which is really, you know, looking at the far out stuff. And recently, we interviewed a lady called Juliet Bryant, who is a known girl that was abused in the Epstein network. And she describes on that show how she saw him shift from what she described as from a human form to a dragon type form. And she wrote a book about her time in that Epstein ring when she's being abused as a young girl. And she uses the word dragon in the title because of what happened to them. You know when you look at the Avatar movies, you have the American military, talk about the first movie, and they want to infiltrate this moon, I think they call it Pandora or something, of these blue people called the Navi. Now, they knew, because they wanted the resources that moon had. So they knew if they turned up as human military, the Navi, blue people, would go, "Who are you?" So what they did in the movie is they took on the external form of a blue person, a Navi, and they infiltrated Navi society and sought to take it over until they sussed what was going on eventually in the story. That's what has happened. These demonic entities, they also take human form. And we see them as human, but actually behind that human facade, and again, when you realize what reality is, you can see how that works. They're absolutely not human. And sometimes there's a shift that goes on where the entity behind the human form can be seen. It's rare. It happens a lot in the rituals, by the way. So many people have described it to me who've taken part in satanic rituals with these people. But sometimes it will just infiltrate the human, and people in a flash, often a flash, not always, but mostly, they'll see someone change from human to non-human, like Juliet Bryant did.